Hey everybody, this is Alex the Rush. Pretty much, we're going to recap all of UFC 196 McGregor versus Diaz. We're going to recap all my picks, which I did pretty well. I got 6 out of 9, and most 4 out of 5 on the main card. So, here are my predictions, and here are how the results are. Hey everybody, it's Alex, known as The Rush again. Listen, I got a quick shout out to the 87 Club. I have a question of, if I have chili, should I have beans or no beans? And if you got a decision, if you have to choose between two things, get both. All right. Now that that's done, let's get to how UFC 186 post-fight review. Now, overall, it was a very surprising night. There were a lot of upsets. There was a lot of pretty much grappler versus striker scenarios. So, let's get to the first fight. Darren Elkins, Jay Skelly. Honestly, I was not overly impressed about this fight. It wasn't the most boring thing I've ever seen, but it wasn't the most impressive. Jay Skelly, he came in aggressive. He came in very aggressive. Went for a lot of submissions. He went for the leg lock mostly. He had a lot of cage control for the early part of the fight. But then Darren Elkins, he just like most Indiana boys, he just toughed it out, and he just was on him all time, just wrestling him to the cage, constantly striking, knees, punches, elbows. Took him down, controlled him for most of the fight. Overall, I agree with the decision, but realistically, that kind of fight style is not going to win you a lot of points, and that's not going to improve your ranking very easily. All right, let's talk about the Vitor Miranda and Marcelo Guimarães. Again, another classic striker versus grappler scenario. Guimarães, he came in aggressive. A lot of wild strikes. If you watched, wasn't very accurate with them. The big issue to him was he went for the takedowns, but didn't get any. And when he did get him down once, Miranda got right back up. But Miranda, he was much more accurate with his striking. He was a lot more technical, and he was precise. But if you noticed, every time he got pushed up to the cage, Miranda utilizes the side elbows to the side of the head. Now, a lot of people have complained that, oh, that's a downward elbow. That's illegal. John Jones got disqualified for it. You would be right. However, that's hitting with the point of the elbow. He was hitting with this part of the elbow. This is legal. This is not. But pretty much what I'm getting to is that Miranda nailed him with that twice, hurt him, and then pretty much he went for the head kick and he landed a punching combination, which rocked Miranda. The referee stopped the fight. And you know what? Miranda actually fell. Miranda actually saw his opponent fall over after rolling across the cage for a little bit. So, it was a good stoppage. So, it was a TK knockout in the second round. Eric Silva, Nord Taleb. This fight was very surprising because Eric Silva, very explosive, very unorthodox, had a lot of flashy moves he could have utilized, but this time he chose the very unusual stance. It was very slow. He was reckless. He tried to engage into a wild confrontation. Taleb would not have any of it. Taleb was more technical. He was landing more kicks, punches, leg kicks. Pretty much he was just dominating. He stopped all of Eric's takedowns. But you'll notice that when Eric threw a lot of his punches and his kicks, but when he threw the body kick in that second round, Taleb caught the kick and punched him right when he had his leg. So Taleb, he knocked him out. Eric Silva went face plant into the mat. Probably one of the better finishes of the night. So Taleb, TKO, second round. Okay, Brandon Thatch, Sayar Botazara. I'm going to be blunt. I hated the fight. Thatch, he fought tall early on, but got taken down. And Botazara was not very good on the ground either. It ended with a third round submission. And you know what? It was a crappy fight. So I'm going to stop talking about it, and we're just going to get to the good fights, especially the ones I'm right about. Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko. This one was very intriguing. Amanda Nunes, she dominated striking early on. She got a lot of the takedowns. She did a lot of ground and pound with elbows, and she just had a very better game plan. Shevchenko won the third round, though, I think. She landed an elbow in the clinch. She hurt Amanda Nunes and dominated her throughout the round, but it was already too late. Nunes won the first 2 rounds. So obviously, Shevchenko, she needs to start earlier. She needs to be more aggressive. So Manny Nunes, decision. Corey Anderson, Tom Lawler, that was an interesting fight. My family disagrees that Tom Lawler won the first round and one of the judges gave it 30-27. I actually do agree with it. Corey Anderson, he was more technical on the feet. He had takedowns in the second and third round. He was more precise. He didn't do anything devastating in the first round, but he landed more strikes. So Corey Anderson, decision, I agree with. Gianvillante Ilir Latifi, worst fight of the night. Almost enough said right there. A lot of clinching, a lot of wrestling, a big suplex. I'll be honest, people. I thought this was going to be a bang. I thought these guys were just going to stand there and bang, but Latifi pretty much, whenever he had him hurt with a big shot, just went in for wrestling, and I'm thinking, why? Why are you just wrestling? You got the power advantage. So overall, it was a 30-27, so it makes sense. You know what? Whatever. Let's move on to the two biggest fights of the night, and I know I'm sure some people share my sympathy, and you probably notice I'm not wearing my Holy Holmes t-shirt, so there's a if you don't know the results, here it is. Holmes got choked out in the 5th round, and it honestly, she was winning the stand-up. She was more technical. She used the oblique kick, which is just turning your leg inside, not going for the full extended leg. It's a rare technique, and it's only found with Jackson MMA fighters. A lot of mix of punches, kicks, and she was very aggressive, but I think Misha employed a better strategy, was that she was a counterpuncher that night. She forced Holly Holmes to come in and strike, which, if you notice in a Rousey fight, she was producing the counterpunching. When you're forced to strike, you're making the mistakes. Misha also had a better ground grappling. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are probably wondering, well, Rousey tried to do grappling too. Why didn't that work for her? There's a difference. Misha's a wrestler. Rousey's a judo. Rousey always goes for the Jodoka style, which is basically upper body flips and tosses. That's easy to counter because she's leaving her head open. Misha changes levels. You'll notice in the 2nd and 5th round she did that. She changed levels. She got that rear naked choke in the 5th round, and she held on to that sucker tight. That was just pure willpower. I don't care what anyone says, that was pure willpower. She did not want to lose because she knew, I lose this fight, I'm never getting another shot of the belt. She choked her out after she got flipped. That's the big thing. You get flipped, you usually let go. So overall, very impressive, very dominating performance. All 2 cupcake. And on a side note, Dana White's not happy because he just lost a big money fight, so man's upset. But let's get to the main event of the night, and all to you McGregor fans, I told you, it does not matter how good you are, because once you jump that weight, things change. You can knock out all the guys you like at 145, but at 168, you're going to decision most of your fights. That's a fact. Diaz was getting dominated in the early round. I'll give it that. I'll give McGregor that. But Diaz got cut too. There was a lot of blood. But he's Stockton. He does not care. And the thing is that Diaz, he was used to getting beat up and bloody. You'll notice a lot of his past fights. He loses probably the first round, and he wins the rest. Pretty much, it was basically how I thought it would turn out. Diaz was more technical on the feet once it got into the deeper rounds, and McGregor pretty much gassed himself. He went for a takedown. Okay, I was shocked about that, but that was pretty much what every guy that gets hurt by Diaz does. And then Diaz just pretty much went for the submissions. Got the rear naked choke, pretty much put his lights out. Everybody's probably thinking, oh, McGregor's over, he's done. But really, there's still a lot of big money fights. So there's still 3 fights I think he's got in the featherweights. There's him and Aldo 2. There's him and Edgar. And then there's him and Holloway 2. So overall, those were pretty impressive. Overall, I think that was an amazing fight night. Well, I don't know what to say really, because Holmes and Tate pretty much, I think, stole the show. Diaz played the upset, made out with $100,000. We'll probably never see him again, but whatever. All right, that's pretty much all for me today, people. So I'll see you all at the next event, which will be March 15th. Mark Hunt versus Frank Mir. I'll be posting a video early on that time, a little earlier than this time. That way you can get your opinions in, get your polls in. When you make comments, please, if you want to, post who you think's probably going to win the fights. I'd like to know your opinions. That way we can all say, you can say in my face. All right, Alex the Rush, out.